King Comics presents Big Baby, Volume 1, Issues 1 to 13, 204 pages of story and art. King Comics also presents Star Crasher one-shot, 32 pages, cosmic sci-fi surrealist adventure. You can find these fine comics at kingcomics.ca, at MaximusRex13 on Instagram, or on Facebook, MaxRex or Big Baby. Hey everybody, how's it going? I am Maximus Rex, and this is once again Big Baby Reviews. Today we're looking at the Incredible Hulk issue 384, dated August 1991. Fast approaching the singularity. What is the singularity? The moment or the comic that, convinced me or pushed me towards the idea that I could also become a comic book artist, illustrator, cartoonist. And this is one of those issues that got me to that point. So at this point, I'm buying a few kind of comics off the rack at the Cannex in Victoria, BC, where I lived as a kid. I am 10 years old at this point, and there was something about this cover that I thought was really great in the art, so I bought it. Later on, finding out when I get into comics more and being more interested in who the artists are, the different styles and things, that this is Dale Keown, or Keown, but I think it's Keown, who is the artist of this. And the cover just grabbed me at the time. So, nothing more to say there. It's a pretty good, almost dark, full silhouette here of this abomination creature. And the Hulk just yelling in his ear. It's kind of funny, but it's also just very well drawn. So I think that's what happened there. Is I was very attracted to the fact that this was very, very well drawn. And again, not Marvel House style. A little bit, you'll see inside, because he's being inked by someone else. But leaning towards that, bombastic kind of image, hyper detailed style. You can kind of see it on the cover. I feel like the cover is Dale Keown inking himself, and on the inside we have, I believe, Mark Farmer. We'll go through the credits when we get to them. Let's crack this one open. Yeah, so as you see right away, the art's a bit smoother and more house style on the inside. Okay, great shot though. So what happens here, this is at this period, this is a crossover with Infinity Gauntlet. I have no idea what that is, right? I'm at the point in comics where I don't understand about crossovers and things like that. But this issue actually led me to start buying the Infinity Gauntlet miniseries, which actually was pretty fun and I enjoyed. So I started, I think, with issue 3, possibly 4, and got all the rest of the Infinity Gauntlets, and eventually got issue 1 and 2. But, this is the first case of crossoveritis where, I got the sickness and I kind of liked this comic specifically, The Incredible Hulk. And since it was a crossover with this thing, Infinity Gauntlet, it made me look it up. Well, I say look it up. It was the fact that the comics, Infinity Gauntlet, were on the rack at the corner store, Cannex, near my house, as well as this Incredible Hulk comic and others at the time, right? I still hadn't discovered comic book stores, so I would get my comics there at the Cannex, just around the corner, about a 3-minute walk. It was awesome. So here we are. I'm kind of vaguely understanding that there's some sort of cosmic event at this point, and all of a sudden the Hulk is back on Earth, I believe, or he thinks so. Seems to be in the sewers, right? And nothing seems too off here until you realize, right, with the silhouette here, you got to assume either that's a giant rat or the Hulk is tiny. And which I guess what the artist is telling us here is that the rat is actually the right size. It is the Hulk, in fact, that is tiny. So here we got the credits. Little tale from writer Peter David, Dale Keown penciler, Mark Farmer inker, Glynis Oliver colorist, Joe Rosen letterer. Editors don't matter. That's a joke too when I say that, guys. It's it's just a joke. Hulk getting bitten by the rat here. So what I will say once again, it's not fully Dale Keown as we will know him. Mark Farmer's definitely toning him down a bit and making it more house style, as I mentioned before. I mean, I figure he's still just trying to do a serviceable kind of Marvel feel job. He's not going too crazy, as he will later in Pit, for example, right, where he goes, if this is a term where he goes full image. So here he is throwing the rat against the wall. That, seems to spell the end for that rat with that splat of blood there. Sound effect would have been cool here. That would have been warranted, I think. And yeah, so he's thinking it's a giant rat still at this point, but then realizes, that he is on Earth. It's just the garbage and everything is huge and he's tiny. Dale Keown draws great women. Okay, this is Marlo. I find out later, who's engaged to, I I think his name is Rick, not Rick James, but Rick Jones. Rick Jones. He was Hulk's friend. We kind of find out throughout this issue. So I kind of got a sense of that a little bit when first reading this issue as a kid. The storytelling's solid, right? All the way through. Like, it's easy to read, and directional devices all work, and we're going the right direction. Nothing's confusing. I just find the art, now that I look at it compared to as a kid, very subdued on the inside. I definitely think, once again, if I just flash the cover, we're getting way more Keown here in his own inking, and the artwork by default is more exciting. But still, he's a really good draftsman. You know, these are hard perspectives to master here. He's trying to get up there, and, you know, he can't control because the gravity affects him differently because he's small. They explain it away, you know. So the Abomination going through the sewer here. Hulk's trying to get at him, but he's too small. I mean, you know, again, mostly for the art, this issue, and the fact that, you know, on my kind of comic collecting quest, this is one of the stops that I did follow for a bit. I did buy a few issues of the Hulk. Unfortunately, the mechanics rather wasn't consistent. So sometimes I get 2 or 3 issues of the Hulk in a row, and then maybe they had some and someone else bought them and I missed them, or they just wouldn't get the next few issues. So then I'd miss 2 or 3 issues of the Hulk, and then they would reappear again, right? It was the inconsistency of like the newsstand kind of distribution, which, like I said, I'll tell in a further episode the story of how I discovered comic book stores. Man, was I happy at that point, right? Like most comic collectors, when they finally realize that comic book stores exist. So this is the B story with the Hulk's wife. So, you know, well drawn and stuff. This is where you kind of see, I think, some people have said Dale Keown was a John Byrne clone. I wouldn't say quite a clone. There is some stuff, especially in this Hulk run, that does look like John Byrne. Or at least, you know, the starting point for Dale Keown might have been a lot of John Byrne stuff. But eventually he does, I do find, grow into his own style, which becomes distinct. Once again, distinctive from the influence in this case. I always thought Dale Keown drew great ladies, like their faces and stuff, right? And again, these ladies, like, they're not the typical image, butt out, boobs out kind of superheroines and stuff. They're just regular ladies. So, you know, the body language and stuff, and they're dressed fairly conservatively and all that stuff. Like, you know, I appreciate the fact that he can draw that, you know, and not just always the sexy woman that kind of dominated the 90s comics, right? So we'll just go through this quickly, because again, other than what we kind of already talked about, the art, the Infinity Gauntlet crossover, which is tenuous at best. It's just him coming back from Infinity Gauntlet in this issue, and then this is a whole other story that technically doesn't really relate to Infinity Gauntlet, so it's not really a crossover issue. But that's basically what's going on here. An Abomination and his wife, you know, it's kind of, you know, this, I don't know. I feel like this is, now that I look at it now, it just came to me like a riff on that Dr. Freeze Batman the Animated Series story with his, you know, his wife and stuff. I feel maybe we'd have to check the dates, but maybe that's aired and Peter David's kind of riffing and swiping on that a little bit here. It's possible. Yeah, I mean, just nothing super interesting here. And as a crossover, like I said, this is completely separate from Infinity Gauntlet. And then here, for some reason, super conveniently, the Hulk gets sucked into a vortex portal and goes back to join the adventures in the Infinity Gauntlet miniseries. So I guess that's the extent of the crossover here. So he kind of pops in, pops back out. And there you go. That's it for that issue. Battletoads. Super hard video game. Didn't play for long. This is a period where I kind of moved away from video games, more into comics and playing music, actually. So that was Incredible Hulk 384. Some great artwork, which will only get better from Dale Keown as we move ahead in the Incredible Hulk issues. He'll get to ink himself, I'm pretty sure. And we'll do, you know, some more reviews of further Incredible Hulk issues, as well as, I'm sure when I get to it, Pit, which is, to me, those early issues of Pit, for Dale Keown, the pinnacle of his artwork. Everybody, hope you enjoyed the episode. Like and subscribe if you do, and I wish you all have a great day.